Next to nothing is known about Peter McCain. We don't know who his family are, don't know how old he is, and have never heard him speak. However, I can tell you one thing with confidence. Peter McCain is not necessarily hanging in Shinonuma. Let's begin. Today, I'm going to give you a brief history of Peter McCain. We first started learning about Peter in a recording created by his handler, Cornelius Purnell, which originated from the 935 outpost dubbed The Swamp. The transcript is as follows.
R-4808N 37 1406 115 4840.
I hope you're receiving this transmission, Peter. If you are not, then all is already lost. You must know by now that we failed to contain the asylum. Now we had to move the experiment here. Location. The number who guide you. The giant must remain. Cost. Repeat. There is more. Save at all costs. The DC-2 experiments continue. Might be our only advantage now. Find Dr. Max's. They may know what's going on. The use of 115 is dangerous at best. I'm not sure we can continue here. We've lost most of our best. I hope you get this. I hope it hasn't happened there too. But I'm almost out of hope.
6054 06.96 101 55 44.94.
Much was learned from this recording. The message begins with the automated coordinates for restricted airspace at Area 51, and then launches into loads of details. Purnell is unsure if Peter will even receive the message, but regardless, he gives a quick outline of his own situation, as well as dropping some advice for the future. The final two sentences, I hope it hasn't happened there too, but I'm almost out of hope, no doubt strikes strongly at the bells of nostalgia for people who have played zombies ever since the very beginning, and they're followed by another automated set of coordinates, this time pointing us in the direction of the Tunguska event, which is a keystone in the origins of the zombies storyline. The information didn't stop with that original radio. In the Black Ops 1 terminal, we are granted access to update Peter. The transcript, once again, is as follows. Update.txt, top secret, level 1 clearance eyes only, update Peter, please use agency standard ciphers for operative identity, handler's notes. We successfully inserted Peter into Group 935 as a research assistant based out of Munich. Current location is unknown, but his last transmission suggested he had been transferred from the Dariz facility to a top-secret location known only as Verrückt. Most recent communique indicated that the 935 experiments are barely under control. Attempts to secure all visible Group 935 research of Element 115 technology have been unsuccessful. We fear that Peter's identity has been compromised, sending in a Marine recon unit to extract Peter from the asylum before it is too late. Operation leader will be one Tank Dempsey. The asylum must be contained at all costs. Cornelius Purnell. The message is rather different to the original. Instead of being a final plea from Purnell to Peter saying, I hope that you get this message, Peter. It's of vital importance that you find Dr. ... and Dr. Maxis. They may know what's going on. Instead of that, it is instead just run-of-the-mill note-taking, discussing Peter's whereabouts and his actions. We learned that Peter was moved from Dariz to Verrückt, and that his mission was apparently focused on trying to secure visible Group 935 research of Element 115. The Zombies community of 2009 was eager to uncover the story they felt had been woven into Treyarch's first few maps. By taking the aforementioned messages, obviously this is once Black Ops 1 had then come out, and combining those messages with the physical characteristics of the maps themselves, the community started to piece together Peter's story. This is roughly what they came up with. Peter was inserted into Group 935 in Munich as a research assistant, and then at some point was transferred to the De Ries facility, and in the process, his ability to communicate with home base, and by association Pernell, was drastically impinged. Then, Peter was moved to Verrückt, another research facility, but unfortunately, there was an outbreak. While trying to escape, he turned the building's power off, losing his arm in the process, and then hopped in a plane. He flew for a while before jumping out, opening his parachute, and floating down towards Shi no Numa, the Rising Sun facility. Upon landing, his chute got caught in the building's roof, causing him to become trapped in its cords and suspended in mid-air. This would be his final resting place. Voila, hanging man. Now, some people interpreted this slightly differently, and they believe that he landed, was then caught by Richtofen, who had already unearthed him as a spy in Group 935. Richtofen pulled his arm off, as evidenced by the scrap of paper talking about such an act inside the map itself, and then hung him from the rafters to make it look like it had been an accident. However, I don't think this is what happened necessarily. Much more recently, we deciphered the following message from the man himself, Peter McCain. The transcript is as follows. Mission log entry 45. I am over the site, looking down through the open door. I can see weird distortion below me like a localized aurora borealis. I would normally cancel the operation, but we don't have time. Luckily, I have taken experimental weaponry version 3 that no one has seen before from my previous mission. Never say never, Peter. This message changes everything. The community's obsession with Peter being the hanging man is finally brought into some disrepute because of it. Here is why. Peter ends up in a plane, right? His experimental weaponry that no one has seen before is the ray gun Mark III. What happens is he opens the plane door, looks down over the site below him, the site being Shi no Numa, just as we inferred in the original story, and then this time round, there's a strange light in the sky. He doesn't have time to cancel the mission, so he jumps out of the plane and falls right into that weird distortion. At this point, we have to ask ourselves a question. What might a weird distortion like a localized aurora borealis like this do to a man? In my eyes, there are 3 options. Option number 1 is incineration. He touches it and is burnt to a crisp. He dead. Option 2 is that of a Gersh device, a Gersh effect. The Gersh device originally, I would describe that as somewhat of a localized aurora borealis, but that device originally was designed with the purpose of troop movement in mind. So, potentially, what will happen to Peter here is he'll fall into this localized aurora borealis, and then Gersh style will be teleported. Finally, option 3 is that nothing happens. Of these 3 options, I personally think 2 is absolutely the most likely. Peter jumps out of the plane, Mark III in a bag strapped to his chest, parachute on his back, and then falls towards the weird distortion below him. As soon as he enters it or touches it, he is teleported through time and space and across dimensions potentially too. He never ends up at Shi no Numa. The hanging man that we see at the site could well be Pernell himself, but we'll save that discussion for another time. For now, let's finish Peter's history. Now that he's been teleported, he could, in theory, end up pretty much anywhere. This is some kind of ethereal portal that we are seeing here most likely. But know this, wherever he ends up, you can bet that he'll be falling out of a portal in the sky, and he'll bring awesome new storyline information with him wherever he goes. And also, we mustn't forget, he'll also have with him the ray gun Mark III. That is a brief history of the beginnings of Dr. Peter McCain.